I've been kind of working my way through these cognitive operators. Didn't intend to do that, but I seem to have been doing it. So I feel I should finish that project off. The main one I haven't spoken about so far is one called the causal operator. If I just give a very brief bit of background, cognitive operators are routine functions that the brain carries out on sensed data to turn, those weird chemical and biochemical signals into the stuff of experience. And there's a whole range of them. And the one I haven't spoken about so far, as I say, is this causal operator. And what that's supposed to do, apparently, is it gives, as the name implies, it gives this sense of causation to events. When we look around, it's not that we, just like the other operators I've talked about, it's not, we don't look out into the world and then go through some weird rational process where we attribute causality. When one domino falls, we don't have to scratch our heads and really work out the maths of where the impetus came from. It's just, we recognise that the preceding domino in that domino line is the cause. Its falling is the cause. So again, it's not some rational process that follows on from perception. It is constitutive of perception itself. We see the world as causal, in some cases. One thing following another. And again, like the other operators I've talked about, sometimes, I imagine it's got some kind of default setting where it just operates normatively and gives us a relatively straightforward view of the world. But sometimes it reveals itself by being overactive, and sometimes it reveals itself by being underactive or not working at all. And just like the other cognitive operators, they've got very particular effects if they are overstimulated or understimulated. So the same is true with the causal operator. If you've got a causal operator which we all do occasionally, which is doing its job too well or operating too effectively, you get this sense of over causation, which if it's just mild, it just manifests itself as a kind of superstition, that kind of thing. You see a magpie, so you hold your collar and spit 3 times, because that's the insane causality that's been sort of set up with some sort of superstitious tradition. Or you get this thing about, you do lottery numbers, and the lottery numbers are all your birthdays and birthdays of your family, or the house number that you used to live at. It's a causality, you're recognising a causality. Or again, if you're reading something and then something coincidentally happens to support that, then again there's a sense that these things must be causally connected. The one thing causes the other, and you might even engage in some kind of superstitious behaviour to try to repeat that causation. You might always wear your lucky shirt when you go into an exam, or you might have to wear your lucky underpants when you take your driving test, whatever it may be, because of this rather strange overreaction of the causal operator. And I think, of course, that's perfectly normal. I think the really hyperactive functioning of the causal operator has a slightly more elaborate effect. That's supposedly, at least, that's the thing that gives a great sense of agency to the world around us. So if you're, hyper-religious, or maybe you've had temporal lobe epilepsy, or some kind of seizure at least, or a whole variety of different conditions, what might happen there is that causality is kind of omnipresent. Everything seems caused by something else, and that can feel like an agent in the world, a causal agent, some kind of being that's the origin of all this cause, and it's kind of pushing it all along. I think Justin Barrett calls it the hyperactive agency detector. He says we've all got that, but it's just a variant on the causal operator that Andrew Newbert and Eugene talk about. And the converse of that, I should just say, of course, that obviously these, like the rest of the operators, the causal operator is completely normal and necessary to normal function, and presumably gives us some kind of selective advantage in our evolutionary history. And it's certainly the operator which allows us to do things like recognise stories. If you're reading a book or a novel, or you're watching a movie, you wouldn't be able to make any sense of it if you didn't have a causal operator providing the connections between one cause and its effect, and then that effect turning into a cause and affecting the next thing in the chain. So it's completely normal, and as I say, when it gets overstimulated it produces these rather odd effects, but basically we're all doing it. When the opposite thing happens, when the causal operator is under functioning, or if we choose just to kind of downplay it, because we do have some control over this stuff. We can twiddle the knobs a wee bit. If we twiddle the knob a bit and lower the threshold of our causal operator, I mean, again, that has a particular effect. That the world stops having quite a strong narrative quality. Stops feeling as if it's going somewhere. It starts to feel a bit like a series of random events, and might be manifest as a sense of lacking responsibility, or lacking a kind of accountability, because you're not recognising the causality of your own actions if you're really embodying that lack of causal operations. So I'm just laughing at my dogs, they're doing funny things right now. Anyhow, that's the causal operator. I'm nearly finished on these operators. I mean, there is another one which I'll try and talk about in the next video, but it's one I have a bit of a problem with, so I'll save that till next time. Not too boring, these videos.